So how does this buyout or economy crisis affect everybody? I don't know. It doesn't affect me all that much, I don't think. I mean, as I said before, when fuel prices started to increase, not drive isn't really an option for me. It might be for some people, but not for me. You know, it's very hard to walk and carry a camera at the same time and try to stare into it. Well, I'm trying to avoid the sun. Maybe I'll get closer to the house. Alright. Well, at any rate, I think that the buyers are the most responsible for this problem. The bankers are somewhat responsible. I don't think the government has a whole lot to do with it in this particular case, although the government is always blamed because, well, it's always somebody else's fault, you know. It's like when your kid forgets his school books, it's because you didn't remind him. Well, maybe when they're a kid it makes sense, but when you're an adult, it really doesn't. Okay, what happens here? They come out, and the bankers and the loan companies, they get their commission for selling an elaborate house. They tell you that the payments are going to be within your price range, and they are for a couple years, and then the bottom falls out. And nobody thinks to say, gee, you know, maybe that wasn't such a good idea. What about, well, suppose you go down to a car dealership and you're looking at your basic Ford Taurus, about a $17,000, $18,000 car. You're going to make payments in the neighborhood of $400 a month, maybe a little less, for a span of either 48 or 60 months, depending on what kind of arrangement you get. The car salesman opens up this book, shows you a Mercedes-Benz. And it's a decked out Mercedes-Benz. And he shows you that the payment is going to be the same. But he only shows you a 24-month projection. After the 24 months, all of a sudden, all the interest that's accumulated by not paying what a Mercedes normally would be, because it wasn't really the same as a Taurus, and now all of a sudden you're into dollar figures that are more than your mortgage. And you and your wife look at each other and say, what did we do? Well, duh! Think about it. Is the banker at fault or the loan company? Sure, they took their commission and ran knowing that these people were never going to be able to pay these mortgages. That is their fault. But the buyer signed, and the buyer put themselves in that position. And now the government has to bail them out. Because if they don't, the economy might stop, at least for the time being. I don't know that it would stop forever. I mean, you have to go places, you have to do things. To do that, you have to buy stuff. So I don't think the economy would stop. But it could put a damper on it for a while. So there's a buyout. That's going to put a lot of homes, I imagine it's going to put a lot of homes up for sale. It's almost like a repossession thing. Foreclosure, I guess, is probably a better term in this case. So what happens in a foreclosure? These people have lost their home, which is a tragedy. However, they also bought a home that was clearly out of their price range. That wasn't so smart either. That's going to make, my guess is it's going to make, if you were in the market for a home, houses are going to actually be cheap for a while because there's going to be so many on the market. That's going to harm people who are thinking of moving because it's probably going to lower the property value of all our homes. If you don't plan on moving, then, you know, I guess it doesn't matter what your house is worth for the time being. And its value wouldn't stay plummeted forever, but it might for 5 to 6 years. Maybe even 10 years at the extreme, but I doubt it. But there really is no utopia. I'm a man who tries to see the positive outlook of things. I'm a guy who likes to view a glass as half full and not half empty. I really am that guy. But When you can see that a glass is half full, even if you want it to be half full, and it's a 10-ounce glass, there's 5 ounces of water in the glass. Don't let somebody tell you there's 3 gallons. Or that if you drink it slowly enough, it'll refresh you as much as 3 gallons, because that's what the bankers did. But the buyers need to be a little smarter. And other than that, vote your heart, folks.